What if I told you that imposter syndrome isn't just this random thing that you happen to be stuck with? It usually shows up when you're trying to do something that challenges you, like starting that business, creating a YouTube video, or going and pushing yourself beyond your known boundaries. What if I were to tell you that imposter syndrome is actually a self-defense mechanism? It's actually been put into place by your brain as a survival strategy to keep you safe, to protect you. But the question is, do you really need protection? Hi, my name is Jay, and I'm currently creating this series of videos on imposter syndrome. And when I've been looking at people, looking at my old clients, looking at what people are really, really struggling with, I've found that a lot of people know what they want to do in life. A lot of people realize that they want to start a business, they have to get to it. If they want to start creating content, that they have to start creating content, or whatever the hell they want to do, whether it's health or anything at all. You know that there's a certain action that you need to take, but there's this feeling. There's this feeling of feeling like a fraud, feeling like a fake. I know I really struggled with this when I was first starting out. And in this video, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to get to the root, which is the identity. That's the real root of imposter syndrome. So in my first video, we talked about how imposter syndrome is affected by how you see yourself in your own head, how you talk to yourself, the voice that you have in your mind. What does that voice say about yourself? And what language do you use? What are the limiting beliefs that you have about yourself and about the world? And so all of these things put together, they affect the way that you see yourself, and it brings about this thing that we call imposter syndrome. But the real crux of it is your identity. Your identity is at its core the way that you want the world to see you. And when I first struggled with imposter syndrome, I remember every time I used to feel this pull that I'm a fake, I'm a fraud. That voice in your head, that voice always pulled me back into the same old patterns and prevented me from taking that action to move forward. This voice that told me that I'm just pretending to be that person who can have all of these things. I'm not really that person. It kept coming up, and it was defending me, it was protecting me. But in that protection, it was also preventing me from getting the very thing that I really wanted. Because here's the thing, we've got the identity that we have, and then we've got the identity that we want. In order for us to get what we want, we have to first be ready to let go of what we have. The way that I figured that out for myself was using this very powerful yet very controversial tool called the Enneagram. And so today, I'm going to talk about your most deepest, darkest fears. And you're going to be shocked and surprised at how hard-hitting and accurate some of these fears are. Some of it might hit home. One or two will resonate at a level as deep as your soul. And some of them might not be applicable to you at all. Now, for you to find out, which one is really you, I've got a brilliant tool that you can use. There's in the description of this video, there's a link that you can use to go and do a free assessment that will share with you what is your Enneagram type, what is your type, which will tell you what are your patterns, what are your fears, what are your self-limiting beliefs, and actually what you can do to break free of this mask, this identity that you've created that is at the very root of imposter syndrome. Because remember, when you feel imposter syndrome, it's not that you are a fake or a fraud. It's that your identity is at its limit. Your current identity, your current idea of yourself is at its limit when it comes to what you have set out to do. So imposter syndrome isn't real in the sense that it's actually created by your brain to protect a version of itself that it knows it will have to destroy. So when you feel imposter syndrome, you're actually feeling your old identity cracking. And this cracking and this breaking is can be a very painful process. Unless you learn to take that pain and look at it as an opportunity for growth. Look at it as you hitting your current limits and breaking through, just like a caterpillar breaks through its cocoon to become a butterfly. So what we're going to do now is we're going to jump right into this part of the video where I'm going to take you through all the different types. There are 9 types. Listen in very carefully. You can also do the test, by the way, that will tell you your type. If you don't want to do the test, then just listen to the rest of the video and you will know which type is most likely yours. You'll at least be able to narrow it down to 1 or 2. And stick to right till the end. Listen to all 9 types because you don't know which one will actually be yours. All right, let's get in. I'm going to start off with the first type, type 1, which is called the reformer. I'm a reformer. And as a reformer, my go-to strategy under the weight of imposter syndrome is to go in and work harder, to buckle down and hustle even harder, to become even more self-critical, become even harder on myself, to really beat myself up and just go into raging workaholic mode. And the funny thing is that for most people, this is the common advice that is given on the internet. It's hustle culture. It's essentially hustle culture. And there's nothing wrong with working hard, according to me. But the thing is that my instinct tells me to work harder. It just tells me to keep going until I can't go anymore. And I'm forced to check out, dissociate from myself, and go do something wasteful like Netflix or something else. And what this prevents me from doing is having a little bit of grace for myself, having a little bit of rest for myself. Because when you go to the gym and you start exercising and building a muscle, your muscle isn't built in the gym, it's built after the gym when you rest. If you keep working the damn muscle all day, every day without rest, the muscle is going to break down. And the same thing happens with us as human beings. The same thing happens with our minds as well. It's a cycle. It's always a cycle. There's a peak and then there's a drop. There's a peak and then there's a drop. That's also what a heartbeat is like. But as a reformer, when we make a mistake, we just want to keep going, harder and harder and harder and harder, and just be super critical with ourselves. And we're so afraid of making a mistake. So the identity that we have is to keep working hard, especially in the culture that we have right now, so that we don't make a mistake or so that other people don't notice that we've made a mistake. And this fear of making a mistake, fear of looking like someone who is wrong, is exactly the fear that drives imposter syndrome for the type 1. So if you're somebody who resonates with that, then you're probably a type 1. But there are about 9 other types, so let's get on with it. So there's a type 2. The type 2 is the helper type. So if you're a helper, you think love is earned by doing things for other people, by helping other people, by being of service to other people. And so when you try to focus on yourself, and when you put yourself in the center, you feel selfish, you feel like a fake. And this is what drives imposter syndrome in helpers. Now let's move forward to the type 3, which is the achiever. If you're an achiever, then you derive your value from achievement, from success, from looking impressive, from performing extraordinarily well. And the problem with this is that when you're achieving, you're on top of the world, but God forbid you have a failure or you are unable to achieve as per the standards that you set for yourself, or God forbid that you fail, God forbid that something goes wrong, or God forbid that you are left in a space where there is no room for you to achieve, to succeed, to compete. Well, what are you then? Do you, at that point in time, it becomes very easy to feel like a fake, like an imposter, like there is no value outside of your achievement. The next type, type 4, is called an individualist. If you are an individualist, you define yourself with how unique you are, how creative you are, how authentic you are. And if, God forbid, you end up feeling ordinary one day, or uninspired, or uncreative, or just basic, you're going to feel like a fake. Individualists have to realize that as human beings, they are unique just by the virtue of being a human being. Because the truth is that you are unique, you are one of a kind. There's no one else on this planet like you. And to realize your true uniqueness, you have to let go of the need to be unique, because that need is what makes you like every other individualist. Oh my God, you're probably tearing your hair out listening to me right now. Right, let's go to the next one. So type 5 is the investigator. So if you're an investigator, you derive your feeling of being competent, of being safe enough from the knowledge that you have. So you believe knowledge is power, knowledge is everything. But if you're ever caught with your pants down, not knowing something or not knowing enough, then you end up doubting yourself and you end up feeling like a fake. You end up feeling like you're not enough. And guess what? That's exactly what's going to happen when you challenge yourself to go and do something that you've never done before. That's the human thing to do. That having compassion for yourself, if you're an investigator, is not something that comes naturally to you. But the truth is that having a bit of grace, having a bit of compassion, realizing that you don't have to know everything, but you will be able to handle it regardless of whether you know or you do not know. You will be able to adapt, to have that bit of faith in yourself so that you can step out and actually take action, to actually engage with the world instead of stepping back and observing and just hoarding knowledge. That is the exact thing that's going to break your ego, your identity, so that you can flourish and become a greater version of yourself. So let's go to the next type. The next type is the type 6, which is called the sentinel or the loyalist. If you are somebody who's a sentinel or you're somebody who's a loyalist, then you're the kind of person that really values trust. And it's not easy to gain your trust. And you have a small group of people that you find trustworthy and you find safety within that group of people. You value being prepared, you value being dependable. When you feel anxious, when you feel uncertain, that's when the feeling of imposter syndrome, of being a fake, of being a fraud come up. And no matter how many times or how many things you prepare for, how many worst case scenarios you can imagine up, and you can have a backup plan for all of them, the truth is that you're never, ever, ever going to be prepared for every scenario. The only thing that you can be prepared with is faith in yourself. And as a sentinel, that's the most important thing. So when you notice yourself withdrawing and going back into this worst case scenario imagination mode, the thing that you have to do there is to stop, to trust yourself, and to actually move forward despite the fear. Let's go to the next type, type 7, which is the enthusiast. If you're an enthusiast, you're the life of the party. People love being around you. They get attracted to you like moths are attracted to a flame. People like your upbeat attitude. You're always fun to be around. You have multi-talented. You've got many different interests. You get bored easily as well. But when things get a bit too serious or a bit too heavy or a bit too deep, that's when feelings of self-doubt can arise. So you might be like a shining star, but if something gets in the middle of your shine, if a dark cloud were to pass by and get in the middle of your shine, then that can lead to feelings of being not enough, of being a fake, of being a fraud, of triggering the feeling of imposter syndrome. And so as an enthusiast, the challenge you have to give yourself is to be okay with yourself going into deeper, darker places. To be okay to face not so upbeat emotions, circumstances in life. That's the most important thing if you're an enthusiast. If you're a type 8 or a challenger, this is the person who values being strong, values being the kind of person who can smash through their obstacles, achieve whatever the hell they want. Nobody tells them whether they can have something or can't have something. But when there's the feeling of softness, of vulnerability, these are all moments that are very human. Every human being faces these moments in life. You have to be ready to be able to show your vulnerabilities. You have to be ready to be okay with your vulnerabilities. Because the person who's the strongest isn't the person with no weaknesses. The person who's the strongest is the person who has the weaknesses and remains strong regardless of them, that isn't afraid of their own weaknesses. And finally, we've come to the type 9. The type 9 is known as the peacemaker. If you're a peacemaker, then you're a very easygoing, very likable person, but you don't like to be noticed. You'd rather not be the center stage like the enthusiast. You'd rather be somebody who is in the background, and you're okay with that. People like you because you're likable, not because you have some ulterior motive. You're genuinely likable, nice person. The problem is, if whenever you find yourself placed in a position where you have to be center stage, right, where the spotlight is on you, when it's about what you want, where you have to take a leadership role, at that time, you can end up feeling like a fake or a fraud. The truth is that the world can make space for you, that you matter, your needs matter, your opinion matters, your leadership matters. And as a peacemaker, when you come to peace with that and actually lead from a position of power, you can overcome feelings of being an imposter. And so these are the 9 different types. I don't know which one you resonated with most. Maybe you resonate with 1, maybe you resonate with 2, maybe you resonate with 3. It doesn't really matter. If you want to really find out what type you are, and there's so much deep work that we can do at this level, because when you let go of this charade, this identity, this fake identity that comes from the fear that belongs to your type, you can let go of the limiting beliefs that belong to your type. There's so much more that you can unlock in terms of peak performance. Because imagine being able to bring your true gift to the world, your true authentic gift to the world. Imagine what that could do for you. So if you're interested, I don't know if I'm going to make another video in this series. I probably might. But if you're interested, I have this amazing resource. It's a 10-minute reset, a neurological mental reset for you, a pattern interrupt that will help you. If you practice it every single day, it will help you overcome your type. Got the link in the description. Go and do the test, find out your type, go and do the imposter syndrome pattern interrupt reset, 10-minute reset that we have over here. It's absolutely brilliant. Let me know what you thought. Let me know how effective it was. Let me know your experience. And I hope you found this useful. Remember that feeling like a fake, feeling like a fraud, that fear that comes, that we've labeled as imposter syndrome, first of all, get rid of the label, get rid of imposter syndrome, right? See it for the process that it is. Nothing but a defense mechanism of the old identity that needs to make way for the new identity to take root and grow so that you can actually blossom into the beautiful soul that you were always meant to be when you came into this earth. Thank you so much. This is Jay, and I'll see you soon. The way that I figured that out for myself was using this very powerful yet very controversial tool called the Enneagram. And so today, if you made it this far in the video, I'm just here to tell you that I'm going to talk about your most deepest, darkest fears. And you're going to be shocked and surprised at how hard hitting and accurate some of these fears, what I'm going to share with you, are. Some of it might hit home, 1 or 2 will resonate at a level as deep as your soul. And some of them might not be applicable to you at all. Now, for you to find out, which one is really you, I've got a brilliant tool that you can use. There's in the description of this video, there's a link that you can use to go and do a free assessment that will share with you what is your Enneagram type, what is your type, which will tell you what are your patterns, what are your fears, what are your self-limiting beliefs, and actually what you can do to break free of this mask, this identity that you've created that is at the very root of imposter syndrome. Because remember, when you feel imposter syndrome, it's not that you are a fake or a fraud. It's that your identity is at its limit. Your current identity, your current idea of yourself is at its limit when it comes to what you have set out to do, to the challenges and to the requirements of your current goal that you have for yourself in life. So when it's at its limit and it's cracking under pressure, just like any living organism, this living organism actually exists within you. And it's going to do whatever it takes to protect itself, to defend itself. So your identity, the identity that you have to let go of, is actually going to give you pain in the form of this imposter syndrome. So imposter syndrome isn't real in the sense that it's actually created by your brain to protect a version of itself that it knows it will have to destroy, it would have to kill off in order for you to actually create the version of you, the identity of you, because only one can exist at a time. And so for you to actually create this identity of you that's achieve the thing that you want to achieve, you have to let go of the old you. And that is a very very hard thing to do. So when you feel imposter syndrome, you're actually feeling your old identity cracking. And this cracking and this breaking is can be a very painful process unless you learn to take that pain and look at it as an opportunity for growth. Look at it as you hitting your current limits and breaking through, just like a caterpillar breaks through its cocoon to become a butterfly. So what we're going to do now is we're going to jump right into this part of the video where I'm going to take you through all the different types. There are 9 types. Listen in very carefully. You can also do the test, by the way, that will tell you your type. Most people, for some reason or the other, I find don't do the test. If you don't want to do the test, then just listen to the rest of the video and you will know which type is most likely yours. You'll at least be able to narrow it down to 1 or 2. And stick to right till the end. Listen to all 9 types because you don't know which one will actually be yours. All right, let's get in.